Coming up in this episode of Southern Newsweek, work continues on a new scenic cycleway near Queenstown, dogs are the theme of a Dunedin art exhibition, and Wanaka's A&P show provides visitors with a range of attractions. Hello, I'm Melissa Barton. Construction of a new 3-kilometre cycle trail from the old Shotover Bridge to Tucker Beach Delta near Queenstown is underway. The track is estimated to cost $300,000 and is hailed by organisers as an integral part of the cycling network in the Wakatipu Basin. Mina Amso has the story.
Quailrise resident and Rotary Club president Kerry Dunlop has spent 2.5 years getting to the point of the construction of the new Tucker Beach Trail. It offers cyclists views of the remarkable Shotover River, the old Shotover Bridge and Coronet Peak.
With the car park at the old Shotover Bridge, where they have toilet facilities, it seemed to be a wonderful opportunity to produce a track that mothers, even with little children, could use up to about a kilometre and a picnic area and take their children home. So once we decided that was really iconic, then we became aware that there was an opportunity to take the track right round the Shotover River to Tucker Beach.
The project was approved by the Queenstown Lakes District Council in 2015. However, Dunlop had a few challenges to deal with, one of them being nervous property owners.
Naturally, they want a minimum of intrusion of the trail, and you can see behind me how we've, in this case, that will be over probably 2.5 metres we've cut in.
The $300,000 track is jointly funded by the Queenstown Trail Trust, the Queenstown's Rotary Club, the Central Lakes Trust, the Community of Trust Southland, and of course some goodwill.
Had a Rotarian that's done willow removal and used a big machine as well as chainsaws, $20,000 equivalent. The geotech person, again a fellow cyclist, did it for nothing.
Those working on the track have plans to extend it even further.
It's intended that there'll be a track going further up the Shotover River, and with a bit of luck there might even be a cycle walk bridge across the Shotover River, cutting across to Little's Road and Arthur's Point.
The new track is not ready for use yet, but should be finished in May. Mina Amso, The South Today.
The Otago Art Society is putting on an exhibition with a difference. Anyone could contribute as long as the artwork was inspired by a dog. The South Today took a look.
Volunteers are busy adding the finishing touches, such as name tags, to the Otago Art Society's exhibition, where the theme is any type of art that is inspired by dogs. Artist Nick Dempster said this exhibition had not just been open to Otago Art Society members.
We've opened it up to any artist who's interested to exhibit work, in the hope to sort of build up the Art Society's profile, introduce people to us and hopefully get some new members in the process. But we've got artists represented here from Auckland to Invercargill.
He says that the response has been overwhelming.
Yes, well, we don't usually have themed exhibitions, so it was a bit nerve-wracking, and I thought maybe we'd get maybe about 100 entries. I thought that would be a good goal, but we've got almost 180 altogether, so we've been really blown away, especially by the three-dimensional artists coming out in force. So we're really excited to be able to show this really diverse collection to the public.
Despite the huge number of entries, they've been able to find space for all the works in their art gallery up on the first floor of Dunedin's railway station. Dempster believes the large number of entries is due in part to the local culture.
Otago, and Dunedin in particular, has a really strong arts culture. It's and it's really evident, and that's purely based on I think the size of the city. We're a real incubator of ideas. We also have the oldest art school in the country, and the Otago Art Society is the oldest art society in the country.
The dog-themed exhibition opens tonight and runs until the end of March, with a special hand puppet storytelling event for children at 11 a.m. this Sunday. Rudy Adrian, The South Today.
A vigil was held in Dunedin's Octagon last week in memorial of Kane Morrell and other prisoners who have committed suicide. Morrell died this February while in Christchurch Men's Prison. Vigil organisers People Against Prisons Aotearoa want to see an end to solitary confinement.
18-year-old Kane Morrell took his own life on February the 3rd, 2018, while in solitary confinement at Christchurch Men's Prison. His death was one of the reasons candlelight vigils were held in Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch and Dunedin last night. Kane's parents, Leon and Vanessa, say he ended up in the at-risk unit when he should have been receiving mental health care.
In a month's time is his birthday, he'd be turning 19. Yeah, we should be celebrating his birthday with him, not visiting him at a cemetery. The prison were responsible for my son's day-to-day care. Whether they take responsibility or not.
The at-risk unit has been established at the prison for mentally unwell and suicidal prisoners. The prisoners are meant to be monitored every 15 minutes, but Kane's family say he was left unattended for more than 3 hours. On the day the police arrived to tell Vanessa Morrell her son wasn't coming home, Leon was at work and says he could hear his partner's screams from down the street.
And that's 2 blocks away. I could hear the screaming and I thought, nah. And then I had a phone call and then I couldn't understand her, so I went home. She told me.
You didn't even believe me?
I didn't, yeah.
It's like, nah, Kane's not dead, he's been in an accident or something.
His parents say their son was in a high-risk cycle and prison only made things worse.
My son hung himself from a TV bracket, an unused TV bracket that sticks out of the wall. His TV is bolted to a table thing that comes out of the wall, and about 6.5 foot off the ground above that TV cabinet is the bracket. Because from what we've been told, those TV brackets were actually supposed to have been removed last year.
Prisoner advocacy organisation People Against Prisons Aotearoa organised the vigils. Spokeswoman Emile Rakete says Kane's death is symptomatic of the prison system's rising suicide crisis. She says Kane needed help but was instead abandoned in solitary confinement. Chief Custodial Officer Neil Beals says every effort was made by staff to save Kane, and he was receiving ongoing care from DHB psychiatrists for the duration of his time in prison. Beals says Kane was not in an at-risk unit at the time he died, and while he was there, he was not held in solitary confinement. He says corrections is enhancing the physical environment of at-risk units and is investing $25 million to pilot new mental health services. Roselle LeBone, The South Today.
The 2-day Upper Clutha AMP show in Wanaka was held last week. The show is the AMP Society's 81st and it attracted a good crowd that enjoyed sunshine laced with a chilly breeze. Mark Price joined the crowd.
It's the day the country comes to town. Every form of pastoral farming in the Upper Clutha represented in some way.
Oh, these are merino ewes and about 14 micron, and the boys are going to shear them for just for the demonstration to take the whole process through. If you go into the tent after the wool has been shorn, you'll see the raw wool here, converted into scoured wool, made into top and then yarn and then into the garments at the end. So you see the whole process.
Throughout today and tomorrow, about 35,000 people have or will show their appreciation by braving a chilly wind on Pembroke Park in Wanaka for the 81st Upper Clutha ANP show. Much they will have seen before, but every now and then there is something just a little different. A driftwood cow, for instance, and a pig and a dog and a sheep.
All natural native hardwoods, so remu, matai, totara, manuka, black pine, all sorts. Yeah.
And it comes from where? Off the beach?
Off the beach, off the southern coast.
As always, there are nervous young equestrians pacing up and down, waiting to take centre stage in the main show jumping ring. Nearby, Invercargill nurse Annika Campbell arranges her coffins, or picture caskets as she prefers to call them, each one tailor-made for someone special.
We're the only ones in New Zealand that do a paper wrap, so it's eco-friendly. We put a furniture finish over the top, which is a water-based one. All our inks are water-based products as well. So the paper we get specially from overseas. We tried a whole lot of papers in New Zealand and they didn't work. So we have over 100 designs for people so that we can personalise a funeral service.
And that's not all. There are 450 other exhibitors at the show. And that's not even counting the giant pumpkin display, the marrow made into a whale, and the decorated pine cone selection. Mark Price, The South Today.
Coming up after the break, a lucky family win a year rent-free in an Invercargill smart home, and a ghost wreaks havoc at Dunedin's Regent Theatre. Welcome back. A Southland family have been selected to live rent-free in PowerNet's smart home for a year. The Warrow family moved into their new home recently, which has been kitted out with all the latest power-saving technologies. Sharon Rees has more.
Cam and Chloe Waru and their 2-year-old daughter Macy have been offered the opportunity of a lifetime. The young family was selected as tenants for the PowerNet Smart Energy Home and will live rent-free for a year, allowing for the couple to really save for the first time.
We wanted to save, we seriously save this time.
So that we could buy a house, eh?
Buy a house or go on a holiday or something. Go away on a holiday, just something nice. So
I think the last few days when I've been thinking about it, it's good to be able to save this money, because the idea of actually buying a house has become quite a bit more real possibility.
Now, yeah.
While the smart home is equipped with all the latest power-saving technologies, including an electric car, there is one specific item which has already become a family favourite.
Places that we've lived haven't had a dishwasher, so I've had to do them all by hand. So it's just saved heaps of time and a lot of loud discussions. On who's doing the dishes.
So the kitchen was clean in 5 minutes, because you can just put everything in the dishwasher, and we're not having an argument about who has to clean the dishes.
With Chloe working full-time, Cam has taken up the role as stay-at-home dad and says the technologies are making his days much easier. They said they can see such technologies helping families to simplify their days while saving money. PowerNet will monitor the family's power usage over the year to gauge the impact smart technologies have on the family home. Sharon Rees, The South Today.
A team from Columba College has won the Otago heat of the Kids Literature Quiz. More than 8,000 children worldwide are competing for the international title this year.
Well done, guys. These students from Columba College have just won the Kids Lit Quiz from 80 other Otago schools and are on their way to the national finals in Wellington.
Really overwhelmed. Well, I thought we'd be lucky even to get third, so I was amazed. Yeah, we weren't expecting first. It was very optimistic, but I was like, maybe not. I'm the group's pessimist.
The international reading competition Kids Lit Quiz is a unique literary event for students aged 10 to 13 with the goal of encouraging children to read for pleasure and to widen the breadth of their knowledge. The contest came down to one tiebreaker question between two teams, Columba and Alexandra's Terrace School.
They were only evicted when Badger, Mr. Toad, Rat, this hand's gone first. Okay, sit down guys, around. Toad Hall is the answer.
It's a really big surprise for us because we were never expecting to win. You were saying that we'd be extremely lucky if we got even third. I said hope for third.
Quizmaster Wayne Mills says it was a nail-biting conclusion to the heat.
This was a riveting final. This is just the way you'd like every final to be, so tense, so engaging like this. These kids, we have assembled the most avid readers in the Otago province. Now, we don't get all the readers together like this normally. They're normally one or two in a school, but here today we had the best readers that the province had to offer.
Questions this year ranged from Roald Dahl and Shakespeare to Harry Potter and Tintin. The national final will be held in Wellington on June 10th, with competition for a place in the World Final in Auckland in July. Rosella Bone, The South Today.
A series of spooky, unexplained and unfortunate events caused the closure of Dunedin's Regent Theatre on Monday. A flood-damaged carpet had to be removed after a tap turned itself on in the early hours.
Recent unexplained events at the Regent Theatre have left staff mystified. Regent Theatre Technical Manager Nelson Miles says he got a call just before 6 a.m. yesterday reporting flooding in the building after a tap was left on.
The damage has gone right through to the florist next door. It had proceeded down into our booking office, it had come into our foyer, it had dropped down into the next basement level.
Staff are still trying to work out who or what turned the tap on in the first place. Miles arrived to find the flooded room still locked and secure, with nobody inside and the tap seemingly undamaged. He says it's not the first time something like this has happened behind the scenes and during performances.
There's always a strange occurrence here at the Regent Theatre, depending on what production's on at whatever particular time, depend what entity wants to come and visit you on a particular day. They all seem to be quite nice, but this one's been probably a wee bit malicious.
In the past 6 months, lights, fans and other electrical appliances have also turned themselves on inside the empty building. 2 weeks ago, another tap came on and caused a flood in the theatre. The Regent booking office reopened today and Friday night's ballet The Piano would continue as scheduled. Rosella Bone, The South Today.
The Dunedin City Council is a step closer to having a citywide sinking lid on pokie machines. The proposal has been hailed as a positive step towards recognising the harm caused by gambling. The South Today found out more.
Dunedin has currently over 400 gaming machines around the city, which see around $16 million being gambled away every year. However, the City Council is proposing to extend a sinking lid on pokie machines across the whole city. The Council's hearing committee heard firsthand about the harm that comes from gambling, according to City Councillor Aaron Hawkins.
Hearing what damage can do to people, people losing their families and losing their house and losing their children and losing their job. Yeah, it's pretty hard to hear those stories and not feel like we're obliged to do what we have the power to do in terms of minimising harm or reducing harm over time.
Fiona Cambridge works for the Problem Gambling Foundation, providing help to people with gambling addictions. She says that the proposal is a positive step for the well-being of the city.
Yeah, so Dunedin has really done an amazing job in recognising that gambling is causing harm, actually, and that they want to do something about it.
The proposal will see a very gradual decrease in gaming machines around Dunedin.
I mean, the sinking lid is actually doing something about it, but it's a slow, long process, so it's a gradual reduction in machines, which will gradually reduce harm.
40% of the money spent by Dunedin's gamblers goes towards funding sport and arts. However, that funding is not necessarily local. Councillor Hawkins feels that it would be better for community funding to come from taxation rather than electronic gaming machines.
I'm not at all questioning whether those are valid recipients of that money. The question is, in the longer term, whether we're comfortable with this being the source of that money and whether we can't do something about our addiction to pokies funding as a way of supporting our community organisations.
The Dunedin City Council will consider the proposal at their meeting next week. Rudy Adrian, The South Today.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek, Greymouth's Wild Food Festival is a success, and electric cars set off on a trip from Bluff to Cape Reinga. Thanks for staying with us. Last Saturday saw the annual Wild Foods Festival being held in Hokitika, attracting around 6,000 fans of exotic food. The South Today went along to try out some of the intriguing tasty treats.
Hokatika's 29th annual Wild Foods Festival had 40 different stalls selling a wide range of different foods. It was almost impossible to pass on a delicious plate of hoo-hoo grubs, and if that sounds too plain, there were also pig extremities, locusts, snails and kangaroo on the menu, as well as the more familiar fare of wild waffles, whitebait, smoked salmon and marinated tuna. The acrobatic team, the Black Falcons, flew in formation overhead, and the band played on to the crowd, who were judged to be far better behaved than in past years. Amongst the alcohol available were shots of moonshine. Disappointingly, 9 people were arrested later for drink driving. Rudy Adrian, The South Today.
A woman who was nearly killed by a hit-and-run drunk driver in Queenstown a year ago has still not been paid her reparation money. Japanese waitress Masuko Murasu is still owed $7,500. Mina Amso reports.
My back is still really sore.
Queenstown's drink driving crash survivor Mutsuku Murisu has had a long journey to recovery from the injuries she suffered in her accident a year ago.
I can't really walk same hours a day like before. That's pretty annoying.
And in addition to the trauma of her injuries, she has so far been denied the $7,500 reparation money the driver was ordered to pay by the Queenstown District Court. The Japanese national was flung 10 metres when she was hit by a car on the footpath outside the Copthorne Hotel in Stanley Street on March 3rd last year. She suffered a traumatic brain injury and was hospitalised for 2 months. The driver, British builder Nicholas Catlin, ran from the scene and was found to be nearly 3 times the legal alcohol limit. He's serving a prison sentence of 2 years and 4 months. He was ordered to pay Morisu $2,500 within 28 days of the accident, but never did. It is not known whether Caitlin has that $2,500. Sentencing judge Bernadette Farnan didn't order a reparation report to assess Caitlin's ability to pay. Morisu was told by the Ministry of Justice chasing Caitlin for the money while in prison wasn't possible, but his ability to pay could be assessed on his release.
I didn't want to make impact for him, yes, the detective, and many people about the still working this issue for me. Yes. I don't want to push many people to work with it.
Southern District Prosecution Manager Senior Sergeant Peter Kersop told the Otago Daily Times the prosecution service was making an application to bring Caitlin back before the court for re-sentencing to assist in the recovery of the reparation. The re-sentencing date hasn't been set. Morisu is disappointed action has taken this long.
I need to work to looking for the answer, yes, everywhere, and many people. It's by myself. Yes. I was wondering, is it victim's work?
The accident has left Morisu with an ongoing back pain and difficulties with her memory and concentration. She hopes her payment ordeal gets sorted fast so she can move on with her life. Mina Amso, The South Today.
A small group of electric vehicle owners convoyed to Invercargill from Bluff on Thursday. They are on their way to Cape Reinga as a part of an initiative called Leading the Charge. Sharon Rees explains.
A range of electric vehicles quietly rolled into Invercargill's PowerNet car park today for a bit of a recharge before making their way north. For the 4th year, the electric vehicle owners are travelling from Bluff to Cape Reinga, spreading their clean green message along the way.
We're wanting to use clean green electricity, which New Zealand has an abundance of. It's better for the atmosphere, it's better for people's health. There's no pollutants. You can stand on a motorway for ages and you're not belching horrible, nasty stuff into the people behind you. It's just the way to go.
Tesla electric vehicle owner Sean Dick showed off the specifications of his car, including the hands-free driving and ludicrous mode, which sees the car accelerate from 0 to 100 kilometres in under 3 seconds. Trounsden said the idea behind this year's Leading the Charge initiative is to encourage New Zealanders to get behind the wheel of the electric vehicles to see the benefits for themselves.
We want people to get in the cars and drive them, because that's the only way for people to understand how electricity makes a car go, how different it is from driving a petrol car. So this year we're really pushing getting people behind the steering wheel, because they get the EV grin, and once they've got the EV grin, then it's just a question of not whether but when.
She said she could never go back to driving a petrol car, not only for environmental reasons, but for the efficiency of driving itself.
You get back in again and you start going up a hill and you're going, why are you not going any faster? I cannot believe it. So they are just a completely different way of driving.
The convoy will first make its way to Queenstown today and then through central Otago before continuing north. Sharon Rees, The South Today.
That's all from us this week. You can go online and check us out on Facebook, or you can keep up with Southern News via our website, YouTube and channel39.co.nz. I'm Melissa Barton, and thanks for watching.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.